Hi, I'm back. It's been a year since my last video. It's been a really long time. For those of you that follow me on Twitter, you might know that the reason for my absence is that I've been having some health issues. The short version of this video is I have Crohn's disease, and that is an autoimmune disorder that is not curable, but it's treatable. I had the most painful year of my life. It was terrible, but I had surgery and treatment, and I'm doing a lot better. And I'm excited to slowly start making videos again. But I want to tell a longer version of that story because while millions of Americans suffer from Crohn's disease, most people, including myself a year ago, don't even know what it is. And also because it's helpful to hear stories. It was certainly helpful for me when I started going through this disease, so I'm hoping that it can help someone else. Full disclosure, I'm going to talk about my butt in this video, and if you think that talking about things like inflammatory bowel disease is gross, well, the reality is that this is a debilitating and excruciating disease to have, and adding in a layer of shame not only makes it more difficult for people with this disease to just go and live their life, but it also can prevent people from going to a doctor to talk about it and get diagnosed. It's actually dangerous. So grow up or just go watch another video, I don't mind. In December of 2020, I was feeling really stressed out about climate change, as per my last video a year ago, and I started having pain in my bum after I went to the bathroom one day. And I talked to a doctor. They said it was probably just hemorrhoids, maybe a tear. And I thought it would just go away. And, weeks went by and it got a little better sometimes, and I'd start making videos again. And then it would get much worse. And over the months, as I went to doctor after doctor, I think I went to a walk-in clinic about 10 times. I don't have a family doctor like a lot of Canadians. I just can't get one. But over time, they kept telling me it was just hemorrhoids or a fissure or a tear. And it just slowly kept getting worse and worse. It just never fully went away. I never got better. And I was told, after doing a lot of tests, I was told that the only real way to really know what was going on down there is if I had a colonoscopy. And by April 2021, I finally got put on a very long wait list for that colonoscopy. Quick rant about Canadian healthcare. At the best of times, it is not very good at dealing with people that have chronic illnesses. And the COVID-19 pandemic is not the best of times. It's kind of like the whole system has had its supports hit out with a sledgehammer. Doctors and nurses are really, really stretched thin. Hospitals are overrun with people suffering from this pandemic, often unvaccinated people. And what that means is that non-elective surgeries and scopes like colonoscopies kept getting pushed further and further back. So it took me a very, very long time to get to be able to have the scope that I would need to get diagnosed. By the time summer rolled around, I was in absolutely excruciating pain. I couldn't walk or stand or sit or laugh or cough or really do anything without a ton of pain. Actually, at the time, I described it as if it was like some sort of monster or alien was burrowing its way out of my butt. And it sounds kind of... that description now seems a lot like that scene from Alien, where the alien bursts out of the person's chest. Sorry for the spoilers. It's like this, but gorier. Turns out that scene was written by a man named Dan O'Bannon, who suffered from Crohn's disease, and that was in part his depiction of what it felt like for him. Tragically, the screenwriter Dan O'Bannon passed away from complications with his Crohn's disease in 2009. In August, I finally had my colonoscopy, and at that point I'd lost about 25 pounds or 12 kilograms, and I had become a regular with the paramedics in the ambulance and at the hospital. It was bad, but finally, thankfully, I was put under general anesthetic and they did the colonoscopy, they took the biopsies, and before I knew it, I was waking up groggy and still a little high, frankly, from the anesthetic, and my family and friends weren't allowed to be there because of COVID, but the surgeon was there, and she told me that the inflammation that I had was consistent with Crohn's disease. And I told her, "Love you," and then promptly forgot the entire conversation because of the anesthetic, but luckily I had it recorded, so I get to keep that memory. And that's how I found out that I probably had Crohn's disease. And 8 months and 18 days after my initial symptoms, a gastroenterologist confirmed it. I have Crohn's disease. Okay, so what is Crohn's disease? Well, it's when your immune system sort of goes rogue and starts attacking healthy tissue in your gastrointestinal system. Crohn's disease is just one type of inflammatory bowel disease, or IBD, which is very different and unfortunately much worse than IBS. Unfortunately, we also don't know very much about Crohn's, including what exactly causes it. We do know that there's a genetic component, that it runs in families. We know that flare-ups of the disease usually happen alongside stressful events, like the one that I had around climate change in 2020. And we know that most people with Crohn's disease also have an infection of a specific type of bacteria in their guts. But we still have more questions than answers when it comes to Crohn's. People tend to get diagnosed with Crohn's disease when they're younger or as kids. But even though the diagnosis is the same, no two people with Crohn's experience the same sorts of symptoms in the same places at the same level of severity. So some people go on to live totally normal lives, almost entirely in remission with very mild inflammation, and everything is pretty good. But more often, people with Crohn's disease do at some point need to have surgery for their illness. Often because prolonged inflammation in a specific region, usually somewhere in the intestines, has damaged tissue to the point where it needs to be removed. A lot of people with Crohn's disease have 10 or more bowel movements every day. So as you can imagine, this can be an exhausting, painful, and frankly embarrassing disease to live with. While there is currently no cure for Crohn's disease, there are, thankfully, treatments. Personally, I'm on immunosuppressant therapy called Inflectra, and I basically go into a clinic every other month, and I sit in a chair, and for an hour, they pump this immunosuppressant into my bloodstream, and that helps keep my immune system in check. And I get to do that every other month for the rest of my life. And that's, honestly a good thing. These medications haven't always been around. More and more treatments are being developed all of the time for Crohn's, and I'm so grateful for that. And now seems like a pretty good place in the video to introduce the foundation that this video is a fundraiser for, the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation, which, as their website states, is a nonprofit, volunteer-fueled organization dedicated to finding cures for Crohn's disease and ulcerative colitis and improving the quality of life of children and adults affected by these diseases. I know I've personally found that their resources have helped me a lot on my journey, so they're a great organization in addition to their research. And if you have a few dollars to spare, please do so. There's links down below. I've set the goal of this fundraiser arbitrarily at $5,000, and to get the ball rolling, I'm putting in $1,000 of my own money. As someone who used to be pretty squeamish, I gotta warn you that the next section is a tiny bit graphic, and if that's not your jam, that's totally okay. You can skip ahead to the part in the video that says recovery. I've warned you. In addition to finally getting a diagnosis for Crohn's disease, the colonoscopy also showed that my inflammation had gone on long enough that I had a little fluid-filled cavity right next to my anus. And that had built up enough pressure that it was trying to drain, and it had created two channels or little tunnels called fistula right to the surface of my skin. So I now have 3 buttholes, technically. Yay! So I ended up needing surgery to have that cavity or abscess cleared out and to have these 2 wires called setons installed in the fistulas. They were there, or are there, to allow that area to continue to drain so the issue doesn't start all over again. I kind of have a bit of a love-hate relationship with these drains. I'm glad that they're there because they're helping keep me healthy, but they are messy and sometimes literally a pain in the ass. But we'll see. Hopefully in a few months I might be able to get them removed, but I also might just have them for the rest of my life. So that's special, and it's been something that I've been working on coming to terms with. But yeah, in general, I'm doing a lot better. It's been about 4 months since my surgery and since I started on immunotherapy, and it has taken most of that time for me to be feeling as good as I am now, for me to be back on my feet and living a pretty much normal life. And I think it took me a lot longer than it would for most people that had a similar surgery, partly because it took me so long to get help that by the time I got help, I was in really rough shape. So I'm glad that I'm finally now doing well. It has been a journey. It was easily the most difficult year of my life. It's like difficult emotionally and mentally. I mean, I went from being able to run marathons and climb mountains to literally having to crawl to the bathroom and having that be the only thing that I could do. So that's been hard. And also just experiencing that much physical pain was traumatizing. So I'm thankful that I'm able to do therapy because that's helped a lot. And I'm also thankful to have people in medical professions that do research on these things, have healthcare professionals that can do surgeries and give me medication. And also just so grateful for my friends and my family who've supported me through all of this. Literally, all of these people saved my life. Thank you. And thanks also to people that reached out on Twitter or email or whatever from this channel, just wondering if I was okay. I really appreciate you, all of you, checking in. I'm sorry if I didn't respond to as many as I would have liked. I was just having a difficult time, but thank you. It did mean a lot, and it still means a lot. If you're wondering what you can do to help out people with Crohn's disease, obviously you can just go to that link down below this video to donate to the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation if you have the means. But if you don't, there's some free things on this little list as well, including simply you can just talk and act in ways that help to limit the social stigma around people with IBD. Less shame, the better. It just makes our lives a lot easier. Something I've learned in coming to terms with this is that it's really important to just give people the benefit of the doubt. Crohn's disease is one of many invisible disabilities, meaning that even though I'm struggling, you would never know it by looking at me because there's no physical, visible manifestation of it. So just give people the benefit of the doubt. Be kind to strangers. You never know what people are going through. And just believe people when they say that they're suffering. While I know it usually comes from a place of wanting to help, try not to offer unsolicited advice unless you're a YouTuber. But for real, if you want to help, just be there for people when they need you and listen to their needs. Lastly, if you've only recently been diagnosed with Crohn's disease, I'm sorry. It sucks. But I'm right there with you, and there's a lot of people that are there for you. I've left some links in the description to some communities and to some resources that have really helped me. Hopefully they can help you as well. Yeah. Now that I'm literally back on my feet, I'm very excited to be able to make videos again, but I have no idea what my release schedule is going to be like, so please just be patient with me. Yeah, might take me a while. I love all of you, and thanks for watching.